In 1995, screenwriting newcomer Kevin Williamson wrote a script that combined teenagers, terror, and humor in a way no one had before, attracting upstart genre studio Dimension Films, and after a few false starts, famed horror director Wes Craven. With the key elements in place behind the camera, Craven's next goal was to cast the movie with stars plucked from the world of film and television. But first, the production had to deal with a major blow. Drew Barrymore, the star who was attached to play the lead role of Sydney, had a last-minute and very unexpected change of heart.
And about 5 or 6 weeks till we were to shoot in prep, she changed her mind.
What does she want to do? She wants to just be in the opening.
I remember Drew actually telling us, the audience will think, because I'm Drew Barrymore, that I'll survive this movie and I get killed in the first, 5 minutes of the film.
We were not happy at all, but, we were on board.
And I almost said, okay, that's it, I'm out of here.
I think for a minute there, Wes thought about quitting.
But he didn't quit. Rather, Craven and his team adjusted to Barrymore's bold new idea.
She loved that opening sequence.
You never told me your name.
Why do you want to know my name?
I want to know who I'm looking at.
It was such a canny decision. She worked for 5 days, and she made a niche in cinematic history for her genre films in that 5 days of incredible work.
And even though Drew Barrymore would no longer be playing the lead, the producers and Wes Craven quickly realized that losing their star didn't mean losing her star power.
With Drew being attached, that's really what got the rest of the cast into it.
The phones were ringing off the hook. Everybody wanted to be in this movie. So our casting sessions were fantastic. They were great.
Those early casting sessions would begin with the search for an actress to fill Barrymore's shoes in the role of the film's heroine, Sidney Prescott, a character that combined intelligence and strength with real vulnerability.
It goes back to, the classic Scream Queen. I mean, Sigourney Weaver in Aliens, and Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween.
There's numerous other actresses that they had screen tested.
Alicia Wood came in, Brittany Murphy came in. Reese Witherspoon never actually came in, but her name was certainly in consideration.
The role of Sydney would ultimately go to an actress who'd already cast a spell over teen audiences in the 1996 cult favorite, The Craft, and who is currently a staple on a hit weekly television show.
And I remember Nev was on Party of Five. That show was really starting to blow up.
The camera pans to a desk against the wall where Sidney Prescott, a young girl of 17, sits, her face glued to the computer monitor in front of her. I was at a place in my career was very new. I had done Party of Five, and that had hit in the first year, and I'd done The Craft.
She just had a perfect combination of the innocence that you needed, but the strength of that girl who was going to be able to...
When we saw Nev Campbell, there was no question.
So who are you?
The question isn't, who am I? The question is, where am I?
So where are you?
Your front porch.
Scream was really the first lead that I'd been up for in a film, and was called in and did a big audition, and I think I had several callbacks. That's enough. Sub bucket out of here.
Do you see what you do to me?
Do you know what my dad will do to you?
You just believed her as this teenage girl, this vulnerable teenage girl. Everyone in the room when we watched it was like, that's Sydney.
With the film's lead in place, it was time to round out the rest of the cast, starting with Sydney's boyfriend, the charming yet broodingly mysterious Billy Loomis.
The Billy Loomis character, his name even is a tip of the hat to the Halloween movies, which were a big influence on Kevin. Sam Loomis is the character that Donald Pleasance played in the Halloween movies.
So we're looking at the part of Billy. It was so hard to find the perfect, handsome guy.
There suddenly was this buzz about this kid named Skeet Ulrich.
He reminded Wes certainly of when he cast Johnny Depp in Nightmare on Elm Street.
It's just me.
Totally nailed it. There was just no question. He was Billy. He was fabulous.
He was the hot young guy, and you look back now and his performance is pitch perfect.
Sheriff, I didn't kill anybody.
And all the girls went crazy. That's how you can tell. Every girl is turning red and sweating.
Norman Bates have a motive? No. And did they really ever explain why Hannibal Lecter liked to eat people? Don't think so. You see, it's scarier when there's no motive, Sid.
I knew that he was really like a hot new thing in Hollywood. He was the hot ingenue, if I can say that, Skeet.
Next in the casting lineup was Sydney's loyal best friend, Tatum Riley.
I had seen Rose McGowan at the Sundance Film Festival that year,
in a movie called The Doom Generation, and I was just so mesmerized with her.
From behind, a finger taps her shoulder. She spins around to see Tatum Riley, same age, feisty, carefree. I think Tatum was very glib, but at the same time she had a real sweetness, like in the scene in her bedroom. Bam! Sid! Super.
Rose is so feisty and her character, Tatum's so feisty.
Yeah, I think she was just funny. I mean, I think she was just going for the laugh.
Even with other contenders, such as television actresses Rebecca Gayheart and Melinda Clarke vying for the role, there was little doubt in the minds of the filmmakers as to who they would cast.
We did look at a lot of people for that part, and in the end there really was just no question because she totally embodied, you know, what Tatum needed to be.
Rose manages to be cute and hot at the same time.
Finding the right actor for the pivotal role of Stu Macher, Tatum's beau and Billy's best friend, proved to be a case of a young actor being at the right place at the right time.
The day that Matthew Lillard came in, he happened to be across the hall with his girlfriend who was working with another casting director, and I looked at him and I said, you look good for this part. Would you mind coming in and auditioning, please?
Next to Tatum sits her boyfriend, Stuart, with his arms draped across her back. He's a Billy wannabe. Almost the jock, almost handsome, almost cool. He tries way too hard.
Stu was with me last night, okay?
Yeah, it was. I go back and watch that, I'm like, first of all, I weigh 80 pounds. Second of all, I spit my way through the whole thing. And that vein that runs through the middle of my forehead is terrifying. I mean, that alone should have just automatically kicked me out of Hollywood in general.
Rounding out the lineup of suspects and soon-to-be victims was uber geek and resident horror film fanatic Randy Meeks.
He's the Joker, the wild card. And he's the one that you can't quite figure out, and he can comment on everybody because he's just slightly outside the group.
Across the table is a fifth wheel Randy, a tall and gangly kid with no such Billy-like aspirations. A witty jokester who elevates geek to coolness.
Did you really put her liver in the mailbox? Because I heard that they found her liver in the mailbox next to her spleen and her pancreas.
At the time, I was a very struggling actor, and I said, I got to get in for this movie.
It was just one of those moments where we'd seen a lot of people for this role for Randy, and we just didn't know where we were going.
And I get a call from my agent. She goes, hey, it's not bad.
It was between him and Breckenmeyer, but just, you know, it's just that certain something that got him the part instead of Breckenmeyer.
And 3, never, ever, ever, under any circumstances say, I'll be right back.
I love Breckenmeyer, but Jamie Kennedy really owned that part.
Thank you.
With the main teen cast now in place, the producers began their search for the right actors to portray the film's adult characters, beginning with Tatum's bumbling older brother, Deputy Dewey Riley.
Oh, Dewey.
A young officer looks at the clipboard. This is Deputy Riley, better known as Dewey. He's a big guy, 20s, handsome in a scrub-clean, boyish way.
Damn it, Dewey.
What did Mama tell you? When I wear this badge, you treat me like a man of the law.
That's one of my favorite aspects of Dewey, is that he's in a position of power, but no one gives him respect. You know, I always think in Dewey's mind, I always think like he thinks he's kind of Clint Eastwood. Like, you know, he thinks he's really cool, but then, you know, nobody else does.
The whole David thing was very interesting because he was, we offered him a role of one of the kids.
I read it, and I came in and I said, Wes, I really would rather do the role of Dewey. And he was like, Dewey? Well, why would you want to do that role? I was like, well, I do get to kiss Courtney Cox. And
If I may say so, Miss Weathers, you are much prettier in person.
I took a chance on this guy who wants it so much. So Dewey became kind of the heart of the movie.
Playing the yin to Dewey's yang was Gale Weathers, a cynical TV journalist and a difficult role to cast until a television star surprised everyone and lobbied hard to get the role.
We probably offered the role of Gale to Janine Garofalo, and she passed on it. We also were very close to hiring Brooke Shields. And then we met Courtney.
I wanted to play the part of Gale Weathers because she was just a total, it was something that I hadn't got to play in a while, at least being on Friends for so long.
She was the hottest thing coming off of Friends. I mean, for her to be in a movie like this was a very big deal because people were really used to seeing her on the #1 show.
And I had to really do some persuading to get the part because they didn't really see me as a...
If I'm right about this, I could save a man's life. Do you know what that could do for my book sales?
And working under power-hungry Gale Weathers was her much-put-upon cameraman, Kenny Jones.
Jumping from the driver's seat is Kenny, Gale's cameraman and flunky, an earnest young chap on the chubby side. I was kind of in decent shape before the film, and there's all these fat jokes about Kenny, so I purposefully put on 20 pounds.
Kenny?
Yeah?
I know that you're about 50 pounds overweight, but when I say hurry, please interpret that as move your fat tub of lard now!
It was trying to make him likable and that the audience has some empathy for him.
With the majority of the cast now in place, there was just one more important role to fill, that of the maniacal killer. But this time, it wouldn't really matter what the actor looked like. The killer in Wes Craven's latest movie would be known for something that almost every slasher icon before never had, a voice. And to keep the terror real, that voice belonged to a man the cast, even to this day, has never seen.
You hang up on me, you'll